Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, April 14th, 2021, in the year of our Lord. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Alan Richie Cunningham, and Duke is still on vacation in South Carolina. And, of course, we've got our old standby here, longtime member of the show, Mr. Super Dave Handy. And David, I'm going to open the show right now and say this to you. I am simply not worthy of being in the same room with you.
Oh, that's not...
No, David, and I'm going to explain this. We've known each other for many years.
Geez, 40 years,
You're
probably.
a pretty smart guy.
I'm not
I
that
value
smart.
your opinion. So we're talking about the Masters last week, and blah, 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 Dustin Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Then you said, I don't know if you remember this, he goes, hey, Hawk, I'll tell you a guy to watch out for, Hideki Matsuzumi. And I'm not going to say, like, Dave, you're an idiot. Okay, he's a nice golfer and all that. Maybe a top 15 for the guy. So Saturday, I'm seeing him on the leaderboard, top 10. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. Super Dave said, watch out for Matsuzumi. And I said, well, he's having a fine round, and I'll give David his kudos when I see him Wednesday night. So by the end of the round Saturday, he's in the lead. And David is an I told you so kind of guy. So I will tell you this. In my humble opinion, that was about the most undramatic Masters I've ever watched in my lifetime. There really wasn't much drama in it. But, David, I'm not worthy.
Well, let me...
You did tell me that, right, last
well,
week?
I also have to temper it because my golf pool, I also picked Dustin Johnson.
Which everybody's in uncle
And
did.
he didn't even make the cut.
Right. Well,
And
that was the big story. Let me interrupt you. The big story of that tournament was all the big guns that didn't make it to the weekend.
Oh, that was great, though, wasn't it? Isn't the Masters the highlight of the golf season? It's
No, I don't David, I'm sorry. I don't like that golf course.
I love the grass. I love the whole thing.
If I had 10 golf courses to play on, David, that would be number 11. To me, the greens are like miniature golf, and
I would. I love that.
What's
course.
my favorite golf course? You know,
Pebble
David.
Beach?
Not Pebble Beach. You're going to take me there someday. Me and Duke. First tournament of the year.
That's nice, Kapalua.
Kapalua.
But that's Kapalua.
I want to be on the ocean. Okay.
Kapalua is technically it's a resort course.
Yeah.
Even though it's really a hard course. But if you notice, some of the years, the guys were, a couple of years ago, didn't Jordan Spieth end up winning that thing? He was almost 30 under par.
Ooh, well, it's certainly more than 2 years ago because Spieth just won his first tourney in 4 years.
Yeah, but the pros...
Well, what enamors you to that golf course,
To
David?
the Masters?
Aside from being the number one tournament.
Well, I love it when azaleas are there and the grass is so green and there's just something about it. And what makes the Masters so enjoyable is you've got hard holes mixed in with easy holes. Take the first hole's a tough hole. 4 and 5 are really hard. 7 is a really tough hole. I think it's 460-yard par 4 uphill. And on all those, and what they showed this weekend is that if they want to, they can bring the scoring way down just by moving the pins and playing with the greens a little bit. And then, of course, you get...
Hey, Richie, I can hear you. I think your mic may be on in the studio. Okay.
So then you go past Amen Corner. 10's a tough hole. 11 is a bear. Then 12, the toughest short par 3 in the world. Then 13, birdie hole. 14, birdie hole. 15, eagle hole. And then 16 is fantastic. And then 17 and 18, you're just hanging on.
We have a call. Good evening. You are the first caller tonight. Get up to the tee box, take a couple practice swings, and keep it on the fairway. You are the number one guy tonight. Go ahead.
Well, I'll hopefully be watching a lot of people doing that tomorrow. Hey, folks, Duke checking in.
Hi,
Can
Duke.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
very well.
I'm getting an echo when I talk to you. How are you guys? It sounds like I'm missing the best April weather Vermont's ever had.
I would say that's a safe statement. I think it's all over, but the last 10 days have been fantastic.
And David, literally, we pulled in together within seconds of each other, and he literally just got done playing 18 holes, and he shot 37 on the back nine.
Geez, 37? Talk
Yeah.
about mid-season form.
And Duke, the golf course is in impeccable shape.
It's spectacular.
You know me, I hate heat, and the 2 times I played, it just opened up on Sunday. It's been 70 degrees both evenings.
It's perfect.
Wow. Perfect or even too warm for you night off.
Well, I will say I did complain Sunday night, like, oh, boy, it's a little warm. I kind of like it when snot's running down my nose, kind of like aqualung. But no, it was very enjoyable, and it's very, very verdant out there. Just fabulous. By the way, how many people use the word verdant?
I was going to say, that's a new one for you.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Hawk, thanks for your message, and thanks to you and Bobby for your usual great time. But the lake, who's been the biggest voice about concern about Lake Champlain level?
Well,
about me for months.
You go down there virtually every night, and as I
pretty much
said on the message to you, I really haven't been down the lake since last fall. So he called and asked me to pull your kayaks out of my barn and his boogie board. So before I started work, I went out there, pulled it out, threw it on top of the driveway, and I didn't hear him come. And he took it off, took the stuff and went down to the lake. So he sent a picture of the lake and to Donna, because, I don't do any of that stuff. And she showed me a picture, and Bobby had written, the lake is at mid-July level. And just to see all that beach was unbelievable. And if I ever get a chance to get down there, and I know, the snow gauge at Mount Mansfield,
is there still some snow up there?
I think they have 16 inches, where it's normally like at 60 inches this time of the year.
We're going to get some snow tomorrow night, though.
Are you really? I did hear a reference to maybe some Vermont mountains. So
right.
Reality coming back a bit.
It's supposed to be a pretty good rain, so we can use it. Really, we're really dry.
Really. But we're talking the lake. I got to think the lake probably 96 feet above sea level. Is probably right around there.
Yeah, and I didn't check today. So Duke, I started the show basically by saying I'm not worthy to be in the same room with David Handy. Last week when we were talking about the Masters, he quipped rather quickly, saying, "You know who to watch out for? Hideki Matsuzumi."
Wow, is that right, Dave?
I did. I picked him in my pool, and I also had
impressive.
Spieth. But just to let you know, I didn't. I also had Dustin Johnson.
Yeah,
he didn't make the cut, so that killed me.
No, he didn't make it.
Yeah,
I got a good feel here. My only concern here is the weather. It's been great weather. I've been swimming the last 3 days. Ocean temp probably 67. Easily warm enough for me, but boy, the forecast next 3 of the 4 days sounds like a pretty good chance for rain. That's my only concern with the RBC Heritage, but it's a good deal. Dustin will be here, if only because he's an RBC ambassador, as in Royal Bank of Canada, one of their sponsors. Jordan's here, and I can't wait to follow around Mr. Will Zalatoris. What about Will?
I know it.
Huh?
So Duke,
Yeah.
that was one of my questions on my notes is, and I quote, how do you qualify? Now, I know he got a sponsor exemption. I will be honest, I've never heard of this guy, and literally I've never seen a skinnier golfer or probably a skinnier athlete in any sport than this guy. They said on the broadcast or some news I was watching, he's listed at 165 pounds, and the other guy goes, yeah, right, if he has 7 bricks in his back pocket.
Yeah, I've seen 160 with a waist of 28 inches. I have fond memories. I still have a lot of 34-inch pants that I can get into, but I'm officially a 36, 32 guy these days. He's got a 28-inch waist,
Yeah.
I think.
He
He pretty much came out of nowhere, but I think he got into the Masters because he had just broken into the top 50. I think he had a 6th place showing at the U.S. Open, which helped him tremendously.
Okay.
But yeah, this guy is good.
when he hits a ball, it's electric.
Yeah.
The ball really
He's
jumps off his
great.
gloves.
Yeah, he's an ACC boy, which you probably know. Wake Forest grad. He went to Wake on an Arnold Palmer scholarship, I think. But this guy's great. He seems like a great kid too. So I can't wait to see. Anyway, so it should be a good time. And boy, I'm going to have the place to myself on to 20% capacity.
Wow.
And I've got tickets for all 4 days. Like I said, my only slight concern is the weather, but we'll see. Hopefully there won't be any driving steady rain.
So Duke,
Yeah.
who do you imagine you'll follow the most?
Well, I mean, there are plenty of good guys there. I think I read that there were 35 Masters players who came down. But folks, I love Paul Casey. Paul Casey's here. Lee Westwood. Jordan Spieth is here. I'll definitely give some attention to George, Dustin, and certainly Will Zalatoris.
Yeah.
So I got plenty of guys to deal with.
Good. Now, did you swim in the ocean?
I've been swimming last few days. I swam about an hour ago. 3 great swims. Ocean swimming is at about the top of my delights in life. It doesn't get much better for me than ocean swimming. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Great.
for you.
I'm looking for the record. I'm looking out. I'm on my 3rd floor balcony at my oceanfront condo, Tough Life, looking out at the ocean right now. I can actually see the state of Georgia. I can see Tybee Island, Georgia, which is about maybe 10, 15 miles away. It's kind of back inland, Tybee Island. But it's a nice spot. Oh, I saw dolphins. I bet I saw dolphins 4 times today.
Wow.
Saw a lot of dolphins, but yeah, the ocean's great. What can I say? Ocean's great. Anyway, hey, so what about Julian Edelman? Is big Julian's officially retired? Landman reported that to me today.
Yeah, he didn't pass his physical, but it was more
Really?
just basic protocol. And about 90 minutes later, he announced his retirement.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the knee injury never really healed properly.
Yeah. Well, if you're a Patriots fan, which I of course am, I'll go to my grave having obviously great feelings about Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
What a gamer! What a great ball player!
Yeah, seventh round draft pick, wasn't he?
God, I can't say it. And of course, he was drafted as a quarterback. He
quarterback in college.
He had a few good passes in his life, but I think Belichick. Somebody sent Belichick some film on him, and Belichick just struck. I think he saw some game when Kent State was getting killed by, I don't know, Ohio State or some biggie, and Edelman just hung in there and stuff, played like, just kept playing so tough. I think I read that somewhere that Belichick saw that and said, hey, this guy looks like might be worth something. Good pick.
Yep. So
anyway, baseball, my Red Sox, haven't the Red Sox, didn't they win the first game today?
They started the season off playing the lowly Orioles. They lost
3 in a row.
Lost 3 in a row, and the whole world was absolutely destroying the Red Sox, saying they're garbage and all that.
Yeah.
Well, they have a doubleheader today. They won game number 8 in a row today with
8 in a row.
3-2 victory. And the kids are all right. They're playing well. Starting pitching, you've got to have not good but great starting pitching to even envision an 8-game win streak.
Yeah.
So, And you know my old saying, Duke, a win in April counts just as much as a win in September.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Good for them.
Yeah. Hey, back to golf for a second. This
Yep.
just came out of the blue. When I was pulling into Hilton Head on Saturday, I wasn't quite on the island. I had to get gas. And lo and behold, there's a Goodwill store right next to the gas station. And you may or may not know how I love Goodwill stores. I actually picked up a couple of Club 3, and I got a nice-looking driver and a 3-wood. And I got hooked. I got myself a good used putter. You know, that'll be the salvation. But I also got a couple of books, one of which I have in front of me right here. I had never heard of it, never run across it. Life Swings, and it's Dick Faldo's autobiography. And I think you're going to love it. It's one of the best books. Oh. He's incredibly honest about like his failed marriages and everything. His sense of humor is great, but I'm loving this book. It's a great book.
Yeah, sounds. I'll definitely borrow that one.
The print might be a little tough for you. Mr. Handy, I bet will race through it. My only concern with you is the print.
Yeah.
I thought of my man Xander Schauffele at the Masters. Just one sentence here, which any golfer can appreciate. This is after Nick early in his career, I guess blew a match or something. How quickly are the mighty humbled in golf? Something we can all, except maybe Mr. Handy, we can all appreciate. Hey, getting back to Xander, I love Xander. I think what happened. I think Xander understandably felt he had to get a birdie on 16. I'm sure he figured Hideki would probably par in. Xander's two shots behind. So on 16, definitely a birdie chance. I think he just felt he had to go for it and had to get a birdie there to get a chance. Unfortunately for him, it went the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he to me died a hero. He did go for it.
He went for it.
And what's so demoralizing is when the ball rolls into the creek and the ball just floats down the creek.
He said he thought he hit the ball well and where he wanted to. It's just that a gust came up.
Oh, okay.
And that's why it was short. But you know what? You just birdied 4 holes in a row.
Yeah.
You'd like to think, God, at least I ought to do is get a 3 out of this. And then you hit it in the water and you end up with a triple bogey. Oh,
I know. Yeah,
that's cruel.
Yeah, but again, I think he figured, understandably that he really had to get a birdie there. So anyway, but another good effort by my man Xander. Just one more thing from the book. This is Nick when he came across Sam Snead. Meeting, and even better, being able to talk to Sam is a memory I'll forever cherish. To watch him on the practice ground was, in golfing terms, the equivalent of hearing Pavarotti sing Nessun Dorma or gazing upon Michelangelo painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. As a wise man once said, anyone who would pass up the chance to see Sam Snead play golf would pull the shades driving past the Taj Mahal. But I'm telling you, it's a great book. It's a great book.
It sounds it. So
anyway, so you guys are doing okay? Any huge news out of Vermont?
No, not really. No.
Yeah.
No. So okay,
anyway,
Duke.
Hawk, anything Celtics? Celtics seem to be still 500 team. Nothing about the South.
They're on a 4-game win streak right now. Really? They beat a very good Portland Trailblazer team last night. And they're playing your favorite team, the LA Fakers, 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
No, really?
Yeah. So, we're getting a good barometer test with these guys, and they've actually pushed themselves into 5th place right now. So, we'll see. There's still a bunch of games left. I guess I won't draw any conclusions until after the regular season. But they are at least playing better in the last week and a half.
And what about your hockey guys? Is that the Habs playoff material right now?
Yeah, the Bruins and Canadians are both pretty well entrenched in 4th place, and that's pretty much where I expect them to be when the season ends in mid-May. So, So.
And we're talking, the season still has a a month to go, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about basketball? Basketball, not that much?
They're pretty well on the same
Similar?
schedule. Yeah.
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 Anyway, any big football news besides Mr. Edelman for me? Any huge football news?
No, because when they had the free agency a few weeks ago, that's where the news was, and after about 72 hours, that dried up. Now you get back here on the show April 28th, and of
Back
course,
for the record, I'll literally be getting back next Wednesday night. My guess is at about 7:30. Want me to? Just going to be you two, or maybe a third person?
no, it'll just be Dave and I.
Well, you want me, if I get there, like say with a half hour to go, should I wander in?
Yeah,
Sure.
Absolutely.
It's about 50. I usually get back at about 7:30. If I get back by 7:30, I'll wander in. It just depends on traffic and weather stuff.
Yeah, sounds good.
But
Now-
aside from that, yeah, definitely in full for April 28th for sure.
Yeah. So Christmas in April 29th, the NFL
Yeah.
draft, one of my favorite nights of the whole
Yeah.
year. So
I hear you. Any new Patriots quarterback news? Jimmy G is still with the Niners at
yeah,
this moment?
I don't. Well, the Niners draft.
I know, they threw him under the bus. They're not going to beat Jimmy G, are they?
The Niners traded up to the number 3 position.
Right. Yeah, I know.
And apparently their coach, Kyle Shanahan's in love with Mac Jones. Now, when this whole draft stuff starts after the Super Bowl, Mac Jones was a mid-round second rounder, and he's just absolutely escalated himself up there. Patriots, of course, picking 15th.
Yeah.
I envision them moving up a bit to get a quarterback. Could
Yeah,
be.
will there be anybody left?
If they move up, maybe the 8th position, I think Carolina has it. Maybe they can get a Trey Lance out of North
that's
Dakota
good.
State.
Yeah.
He may drop.
Who's
Maybe
going to go with Fields? Is the 49ers or?
some people think Shanahan's playing the game with Jones. He could end up on the Niners, but he'll be swallowed up in the top 10.
Wow. Hey, one other notice I think about it. I kind of spaced out on the finals, but I did see those tough UMass Minutemen win their semifinal game in OT, and kudos to the Minute guys winning their first Frozen Four hockey championship.
Duke, it wasn't that many years ago that
Yeah.
UMass Amherst was the paper on the bottom of a birdcage. They were
Right,
horrible year after year after year.
Yeah.
They injected some money into the program, took it more seriously. They have built
Yeah.
a new arena, and here they are, number 1 team in the country, just winning the Final Four this weekend. It's incredible. And I'll tell you one thing before you leave, Duke.
Yeah.
The Bean Pot tournament in February.
Yeah.
Some people are suggesting that they let Amherst into this tournament, and
And kick out who?
that's the good question. The team
We got
they would kick out Duke.
Northeastern, and Harvard.
Right. The team they would kick out on the year-to-year basis is to make the consolation game meaningful. They would kick out the loser of the consolation game.
Oh, really?
That to me makes a lot
So
of
they'd rotate 5 teams.
Yes. Right.
UMass.
Right. So that consolation game, you're not going through the motion. I mean, that
Sure.
that bean pot is big 'cause they fill the garden
Oh,
up,
sure.
17,000 strong.
Oh, yeah, they've been doing that forever. I think
Ever.
I remember that. Yeah, growing up, I think I vaguely remember the beat pot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, where you guys, sure you're going to understand that Cocktail Hour Looms is about a 10-minute walk down the beach. There's a Holiday Inn which has live, not great, but live music every day. It's like grab a Frosty or two and go to some music. But good to talk to you, and if I don't stop, I might just see you next week or the week after for sure.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay?
Duke.
Hey, we'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye,
Duke.
Duke.
Bye, guys. See ya.
have I turned green with envy here?
Yeah.
So he's at what, Hilton Head right now? Place on the beach?
Yeah, the weather's nice too.
Swimming in the ocean 3 times, going to the Holiday Inn, having some cheap beers, listening live music, and 12 hours from now he'll be at the RBC golf tournament. Rough life. Somebody has to do it.
Well, there's a reason why everybody's moving down south. Mm-hmm. Of course, they forget that here, from the next 4 or 5 months are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, middle of May to middle of October. Mm-hmm. It's really great here.
Yeah, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? We were talking today, and Florida is booming, and there's stuff going on but you know what? Every street now is 3 lanes wide. Every corner has a mall. Every development is they're building 10,000 houses at a time.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When I get retired, I'm thinking seriously of getting a place either in Fort Myers or the Naples area.
Well, that's the booming area, and it's beautiful down there.
And that way I will live there 6 months, 1 day,
and
become that Florida resident with no state taxes.
But the issue is you can't just do anything. Everything, you got to start planning your trip because there's so much traffic. And when we drove across, because we flew into Orlando and then drove down to Fort Myers, that I-70 or 75, whatever it is, through Alligator Alley, man, the cars are going 90 miles an hour, and you're getting past.
Yeah. On the opposite end of the scale, California is losing people right and left.
They can't lose enough to make it any good. California is terrible.
California used to be the epitome of what greatness is, and the state of California has more poverty than any state in the country.
Isn't it 20% of the people are on assistance?
I think so. And I know San Francisco, in the last half of last year, lost 115,000 residents. It's a drug-ridden city, feces all over the place.
That socialist agenda just doesn't work. People need to have some skin in the game.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes a difference. Mm-hmm. But until they suffer enough, I'm reading a book now. It's a part 2 on Margaret Thatcher. Mm-hmm. And England had the same issues that we're going through right now, except only in the 50s. To give you an idea, back in 1900, England was the most powerful country in the world, largest industrial.
Yep.
Everything was going great. By 1950, they were on their back, and by the middle 70s, the average worker's productivity in England, their factory workers, was 20% of what it was in 1940.
Wow. How?
Well, because what they did in England is they nationalized every industry.
Okay.
Automobiles, coal, electric. Nothing was private. And what happens is the unions were very powerful, and they kept taking more and more and doing less and less. And when Thatcher came along, what she did is she sold all these industries, like British Leyland and Rolls-Royce and the coal and British Petroleum and all that. And by the time she was done, their productivity was back up to where it belonged. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you another little tidbit, and then I'll go back to sports. In Russia, after they collectivized all the farms back in the 20s, when they took all the farms and made one big farm out of them, food production plummeted. And for many years, the Russians made more food out of their little acre plot or half acre plot behind their house that they grew themselves than these 1,000-acre farms that they had. Because you know what? People are selfish. What's in it for me? And if those are my vegetables, I'm going to take care of them. If everybody else is going to eat them, I'm not going to do a damn thing for them.
Absolutely.
And so anyways, but what amazes me is in sports, we don't do socialization. We might give you a pat on the back for a good effort, but there's only one gold medal, and that goes to the winner.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how hard you try. Yeah, and the world is a tough place. We've kind of forgotten that. And you compete, and there's winners and losers, and all you are entitled to is an opportunity. You aren't entitled to have, if some guy goes out and he hits 1,000 golf balls a week, and all of a sudden he's a scratch golfer, and I'm playing once every 3 weeks, why should I beat him? If he beats me, that's because he worked for it.
Right. He's put the time and effort. Absolutely.
And so anyway.
Yeah. So last week we started the show 22 minutes about the ballless Rob Manfred pulling the All-Star game out of Atlanta. And I actually got a call at home, believe it or not, saying, geez, what a great show that was. And I will tell you, we don't hit home runs every show here. Some are very good, some are mediocre. But I was really proud of our efforts last week, and I thought that was a really good show. But one thing, and my main point, too, was the idiot president of Delta, supporting pulling the All-Star game out. So we went through that. But I missed the most important point because of my stupidity. And again, it's all about voter ID. They don't want voter ID down there. All right, so the context is All-Star Game, Atlanta, baseball. I wish I was smart enough to ask you this. David, you've got tickets waiting for you at Atlanta's baseball park. You go to the will call window, you say, David Handy, 4 tickets, okay? What's their next thing?
You got to give them an ID.
They're going to say, sir, may I see a picture ID? Okay? I can keep ranting here for another hour. That's all
They
need
also
to say is they ask for a picture ID at the will call window to get your tickets. Okay.
See, what happened was, with all these not mail-in ballots, but all these ballots that everybody got, nobody bothered to check. And they just put them through the scanners. And you know what? If the election is to have any integrity, it needs to be one man, one vote. And there's nothing wrong with that. In Vermont, we only have one voting day. In Georgia, they have 10 days. They are open with this new law. For 10 different days, you can go vote. 10 different days, plus you still have the option of getting a absentee ballot, mail-in ballot, just like you always did. I mean, how tough is it? How stupid is that? And doesn't these corporate Americans, GM's the same way, Coke, Ford, they're all the same. They all lay down to this woke culture and say, God, no problem. Oh, you want to move the All-Star? Go ahead. So they move it. Who do they think they're hurting? They're hurting the Atlanta Braves. They're hurting all the guys that work for the Atlanta Braves. They're hurting the guys that have the little shops and the guys that are selling the hot dogs.
And the restaurants around.
And Atlanta is, you've got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tourism money that's going to come in, and guys are going to go to bars and they're going to go to restaurants. Well, Atlanta is like 60, 70% black. Denver's 10% black. Yep. How are you punishing now the Atlanta Braves for that? Yep. It's unbelievable to me, but there's so much stupidity out there. It's beyond recognition.
You stole my line. I feel like I'm floating on the sea of stupidity, and that's what this country is turned into.
It's awful.
So before I go any further, I would be remiss on the passing last Friday of BFA's old hockey coach.
Oh, Red Gendron.
Red Gendron.
Yeah, that's a shame.
He was on the golf course, had a massive heart attack, and I believe died right there on the golf course.
63, a year younger than me.
Yeah, same age as me. Let's see, I'm trying to.
Red had quite a career, and he was really turning Maine around.
Yeah, I printed this off and I didn't get a chance to read it. Maine, right, he was turning Maine around, David. His best season under Generin ended early when the corona pandemic struck in March of 2020. The team had an 18-11-5 record before the Hockey East playoffs were canceled. He was a finalist that year for the Spencer Penrose Award, given to the nation's top coach. Generin held many coaching positions over his career, was an assistant with the New Jersey Devils in 94-95 when they won the Stanley Cup. I think he was a video coordinator, head of that. He also served coach of the Indiana Ice and the Albany River Rats in the American Hockey League. He came to Maine after serving as assistant coach at UMass and associate coach at Harvard. Now,
he was John LeClaire's coach, too.
Johnny LeClaire's coach, and Toby Duclaw, who's been there forever, took over for Red.
Yeah.
And I would see Red every year, coming into Gutterson. And, of course, I remember Red. He's got jet white hair, but I remember when Red was actually Red.
And let me tell you something. Red was no
old school,
softball,
David.
Old school. I'm going to give you a story I got about Red from Todd Derry.
Okay.
Because Todd Derry played hockey with those guys for Red. And remember in the old days, the Coop Field rink?
Yep.
The locker room was the old field house, and then they had that long hallway.
Yep.
Well, they were playing somebody, and you remember the gang shower in the field house? The water pressure would clean an elephant. It was...
That shower, it was like a wide shower.
It was a big circle.
Right, with
concrete,
about 20 streams coming up. You were like cattle going through that.
And the water pressure, would peel your skin off if you were in it for too long. Well, they were playing, and that's where they were sitting down. And they were in between periods, and they weren't playing very good. So Red threw a fit, and he smashed one of the shower heads. And it was squirting all over Todd Derry. And they were so afraid of him, they wouldn't move. And finally he said, "Move, you damn fool. Get out of the water."
Yeah.
And Red used to play touch football with us because I played touch football forever at Coop Field on Sunday mornings.
Were you part of that Thanksgiving?
I used to be the Turkey Bowl.
John Kimmel?
Yeah. I played with Johnny forever.
Of the radio station?
Yes. I played for about 25 years.
Yeah.
And anyways, one time Red was on the line and somebody did something to him he didn't like. And the next time he bopped him right in the nose.
Yeah.
Red was we remember he used to play softball for, he was on CI with LaRose.
Cooperative Insurance.
And he was with Jimmy Bashaw and those guys. And I remember I'd be on third base.
That's right.
And somebody hit a ball and he'd be coaching or something. "Hey, I don't know what my number is. Hey, 27, stick a fork in it."
Yeah.
No, Red was a good guy. And my kids got this on. Bud had a hockey tournament one time in Glens Falls. And they were playing the River Rats. And we went there at that time so that we could go to the River Rats game.
David, I actually went to that arena because Martin St. Louis was a draft pick of the Calgary Flames. He was playing for St. John, New Brunswick Flames. So they came into Albany, or Glens Falls. Glens Falls. So me and a couple of hockey guys, we went down there. And, David, I'd be lying if there were at least 8 fights during the game. And it was, phew.
Well, when we went, of course, that's some big rink.
Yep.
And Glens Falls, I don't think, is much bigger than St. Albans.
Yep.
So that was really something. The Red Wings moved that team to Kansas City.
Yep.
And then later on.
Did they used to call them Adirondack Red Wings? Is that what it was called?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Then later on, they ended up getting a single A team, Eastern League. And let me tell you, the game we saw, they were. It was two of Wayne Gretzky's brothers were on the other team. I think they were from Memphis or somewhere.
Oh, I remember one brother, Keith.
The game didn't even start, and they were fighting.
Yeah.
And it was just like WrestleMania. And before the game had a minute to go, there were more people in the penalty box than there were on the bench. And Gretzky's brother played the whole period because there weren't more than 5 or 6 guys on the bench.
Yeah.
For each team. And it wasn't that great a hockey. But when Red was with Albany was good.
Yeah.
But we.
It's funny too because Maine used to be a staple of top 10 hockey team.
Maine
every year
wasn't just hockey, baseball, football.
David,
Excuse me. Maine was the premium Eastern team.
No question, because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but the Maine baseball program of all places used to be at the top 10, top 15.
Oh, College
nation.
World Series every year.
It was incredible. And Paul Correa, do you remember him?
Yep.
Played for University of Maine, the hockey player, and did most of his time with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks or Ducks, and the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Wasn't there a good goalie too come from Maine?
Thank you, David. That's a good memory for an old fellow. Mr. Ben Bishop of the Dallas Stars, all of 6 feet 6 inches. I remember the first time I saw him in person. I said, "Oh my God!" I mean, you had about that much net you could actually see. Now, another thing I pulled off, and again, I didn't have a chance to even read this. They were talking about possible replacements for Red. They did indicate here that Red was the lowest paid coach in Hockey East at $213,000. UMaine has the second lowest recruiting budget, and the 45-year-old Alfond Arena is in severe need of upgrades. Now, I remember when Alfond Arena was built 45 years ago, it was like the
State
palace.
of the art.
Yeah, and but Duke called earlier asking about UMass Amherst. And as I said, they were a bottom feeder forever. They decided, open up your checkbook and invest. That's why UVM is so terrible. You want to play with the big boys, you got to get that checkbook out of your back pocket. And they made a critical mistake leaving the ECAC, going to play in Hockey East, arguably the best hockey conference in the country, and they had no intentions of spending the money. We get third-tier players into Burlington, and it showed. I mean, there are too many people think of UVM hockey, and they're still thinking of Eric Perrin, Martin St. Louis, and Tim Thomas. Well, folks, that was a quarter century ago. This program has been terrible. And of course, this year, and I'm not blaming the new head coach, and it was a shortened season, one victory.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do.
A lot of work.
And I can remember, just to let you know how these things change, when Emmy was playing hockey at Trinity. Now, remember, Trinity's D3. They had a hockey game at UMass, and UMass didn't even have a varsity girls hockey team. They were a club team. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
Yep.
And now, of course, UMass is
a beautiful arena down there. Yep.
And because the rink, when Emmy played there, wasn't that nice. Of course, UMass is the campus. Have you ever been there?
No.
They got about 5 skyscrapers that are like 25 or 30 stories tall. Those are dorms.
So give me the student population. Are we talking like 25,000?
It's a big school, yeah.
Like Northeastern's got what, like 40,000 students?
I don't know, but a lot. And I don't think Northeastern's that big. Of course, when you say UMass Amherst, there's also UMass Boston, which is a D3 school.
And there's also a very good program, UMass Lowell.
Right.
Which has been a really good team the last 10, 12 years.
Right, and our buddy Riley Whitmore was captain for them.
Right. And Stat Boy that used to be the engineer when we first started the show 18 years ago. He moved in that area. He's got season tickets down there, and that arena is really nice. In fact, I can't remember the name of the auditorium.
Songus.
I don't.
Is it Songus?
I don't remember, but it was some old auditorium about 15 years ago.
Oh, no, but the new one. Is the new one Songus?
Right, I think it is. But there was just an old auditorium there. Me and my lovely wife, we had the great pleasure of seeing the Monkees perform.
and Lowell.
In Lowell, yes.
Now, I agree with you. I think UVM made a big mistake in going to Hockey East, and here are my reasons. Number one is they passed themselves off as an academic school. Well, who would you rather be in? You want to be in with Harvard and Yale and all those guys? Or you want to be with UMass Lowell and UMass and BU and those guys?
Yeah.
And number two, the reason why you had Hockey East, because if you remember, if you go way back, D1, you had ECAC West, ECAC East.
Yep.
And the Hockey East was strictly a power play for money. And the ECAC said, look, you guys want to play too many games. You want to play in the middle of the week. You want to play tournaments. We think that our guys at least ought to be students. Mm-hmm. So the rule was there was only maybe one weekday game a month. And all the rest of the games were on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And we did fine ECAC. Yep. And ECAC has had national champs. It was just a couple of years ago, wasn't it Yale? And
I think so. In Union's about
ECAC.
6 years ago, I believe, won the national championship.
And I think it was a lot better rivalry, like with St. Lawrence and Clarkson.
You're stealing on my points, man.
And
David, there was nothing better than BCBU coming to your barn than having Clarkson and St. Lawrence.
And when they would play there, they'd lose every weekend.
And think of what you want, and I don't have good thoughts when I think of Ivy League schools, but nevertheless, they were the Ivy League. So when you see a Princeton, a Yale, a Harvard in your rank,
it's kind of cool.
It was prestigious.
Yeah, it was.
And it was kind of a big deal for Hockey East get UVM because it is kind of known as a good academic school, medical school, etc. I'm not so sure what the reputation is today. So it looked like it was a good marriage for both. But again, okay, you've got to open it. You can't keep your checkbook in your back pocket.
The trouble that UVM has is they're not academic enough. If you've got a guy, let's say you've got a kid who's a real good student and he's an athlete. If you're a really good student, you're going to go to an Ivy League. Now, let's say you get the guy that's just a hockey player. If you're really just a hockey player, aren't you going to go to BC or BU instead of UVM? So they aren't a good, or Michigan State or one of those. So they aren't a super duper. Just look at the rink. I've been in the Clarkson rink a couple times. Mm-hmm. That Clarkson rink, they got a Hall of Fame there. It's a nice rink.
Listen.
It's impressive. If you were a hockey player, and of course I think Clarkson, didn't they get most of their guys from Quebec and Ontario?
A lot of Ontario kids, yep. Yeah, listen, if you're a premier player in the States and Canada, you've been pampered your whole life, you want to go to the facilities mean a lot to an 18, 19-year-old kid. And Gutterson ain't...
It's a dump compared to those places.
And again, you sit there in bleachers, and again, I was told when that, I think was 1963 when that was constructed, that the bleachers, they had to get it done. Bleachers are only temporary. They never took the stupid bleachers out, and you say you're like this. And I've told the story a half dozen times. My wife refuses to go to a game with me anymore, and quite frankly, I don't blame her. A, due to the seating, and B, her her company she's with. But she did, and I told her, it says, when Marty St. Louis Jersey was retired, I said, Donna, this is a big deal. You really need to be at this game. Well, everybody's aunt and uncle showed up, and that was the game. We were literally sitting like this, and I turned around, she literally had a tear in her eye. I go, Donna, what's the matter? She goes, oh, my back is so sore. And I go, well, can't you shift? And she goes, no. And at the end of the first period, my lovely wife went to the parking garage. And did the Nighthawk follow? David, no. So fortunately for Donna, she carries a book and she had her Kindle with her, so she was able to entertain herself for the next hour and a half.
Well,
but that's the way it is. And I have a hockey buddy. His lady friend will not go to Gutterson for the very same reason. And I tell you all the time, when I go down Norwich quite a bit, and that's a first-class premium. There's not a better D3 program in the whole country. You got your own individual seat, okay?
Norwich is a great rink.
And David, when I do stuff, okay, I don't want to think about food. So I get down there, I eat. I get right in the cafeteria with the cadets. If you're ever down on this country, go sit with the cadets. They're all, we were talking about 28-inch waist. All these kids down there, 28-inch waist. They open the door for you, and they keep calling you sir. It's like, I thought that was like a Latin word. Here you go, sir. And I remember I was getting a clam chowder soup, and the spoons, they were out of spoons. Sir, you wait right there. I'll go get the spoons for you. He did. Sir, would you like to cut in line? No, I'm a nobody.
No, that's,
you know, but Dave, the funny thing is, I eat my meal, okay, and my hockey buddy will go off, talk to, he knows a lot of people down there, graduated from Norwich. So I will go sit in my seat. I'm an extremely routine person. I've got my MP3, which nobody else in this country owns, hasn't owned for 20 years, okay? So I listen to my classic rock, and they sell coffees for $1 there. So it's very nostalgic. So I drink my $1 coffee, listen to classic rock for about 45 minutes before the start of the game. Own seat, plenty of room, and I said, thank you, Jesus, I'm in heaven. Then a week later, I'm at Gutterson. It's like,
Well, it's a tough road to hoe. If you're going to be in with the big boys, you gotta step up. And I think they should go back to ECAC, but well, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And
well, I told you a few weeks ago, I had a client who's doing the construction work at UVM with the new Tarrant Center.
it's kind of on hold, isn't it?
I think he told me they start back up like May 1st. Now, month of April here, best April I've ever seen in my life. So if they haven't been working, they've wasted some valuable time. And I mentioned to you 3-4 weeks ago, he told me, and I'm talking to him about, oh, man, you're working down there. And this guy was a big, burly, construction-looking kind of fella. And I said, wow, man, I don't get it. I said, the games that they have down there, the few games, I see bleachers. I said, I would just have assumed, granted there's no fans because of the Wuhan virus, but the very minimum, they would have gutted all the bleachers out. And then he goes to me, oh, I don't think they're taking the bleachers out. I go, no, come on. This is a $100 million overall project. I said, they got to be, no, I don't think so. Then I had clients that both work there, in like the computer department or something like that, and they sit like 10, 15 feet away from me. I said, geez, I just had a construction guy. He told me they're not taking the bleachers out. No, I didn't hear they were putting, no.
Well, I'll tell you what else.
So what in the hell are they thinking, David?
They're just doing that mezzanine maybe between that and the...
He said the main work was shoring up the side of Gutterson that's going to... I was going to say, boy, you beat me on the word. But also use the word kiss the new Tarrant Center. They have to strengthen that wall up. So, and Dave, can't tell you how many millions of dollars from that huge huge scoreboard, okay? Give me a seat. I'm one of those people. Okay, I go ape when I see make noise.
If the
If I
product's
wanna
good, you
make-
don't need to make noise.
Right. Show me some great play, I'll make noise. I'm not particularly a noise maker when I'm at the game.
Well, I'll tell you what they should do is they should take some film of Gutterson back 25, 30 years ago when it was still full of college kids and not old guys like us.
Yep.
That place was rocking.
Yeah.
When I went to UVM, the whole back wall was all students. And the guys would get all tuned up for the game. And then
Tuned up, okay.
and then you had remember the guy that used to wear the fisherman's
Yes.
rain suit?
Is that Jim Condos, who's now the Secretary of State?
I'm not sure, but he would do, like the YMCA.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they would yell at the other goalie, Civ, Civ,
Yep.
Civ. And the place, you couldn't hear, your ears were still ringing 2 days later because of the noise. And we went to a game one time, and I forget, the other team brought their band, and we were sitting next.
Cornell always brings their band. Cornell's got a great band.
They would play a song, and our band would
Yep.
play. That was what college hockey's all about, and that was where Gutterson really shone. But
Couldn't get a ticket, and especially the St. Louis years, it wasn't even a sporting activity. It was just
it was the event.
the event in the state of Vermont that night.
Of course, the basketball's kind of gotten that way.
Yes, it was the place to be seen.
Yes.
And I can assure you, when the Tarrant Center is finally done in a couple years, God help us, being able to get a general admission
Well,
ticket.
I'll tell you what else. The thing is with that arena, if they keep pushing it back, the cost isn't going to. Because they figured it was about $90 million, wasn't it?
It was originally 120,
And then they got it down to 90.
about 90, but we know, David, you've done projects before. You say 90, and you're going to say, well, they'll find the coronavirus and cost of.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It'll be above 100 million.
I'll tell you what. When a sheet of plywood right now is $50,
Yep.
and 3 years ago it was $10, that project isn't going to be 90 million. It's going to be 190 million.
David, you pull into my driveway and you don't see a garage there because, as I told you, I had it ripped down last fall. I had foundation people come in, topsoil. Everything was just rosy here, except for the old Nighthawk isn't really all that smart. Didn't realize that the cost of lumber was 3 times as much. So when they're about ready to start the project, I said, whoa, 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 no.
I don't think it's going down any.
Well,
I think it's going to get worse.
my wife's ex-husband is building their garage. He was at the office a couple weeks ago, had all the paperwork, shook his head and said, price hasn't gone down a nickel. And I talked to a lot of people, and they all confirm. Now, I also heard, I don't know if this is true, there's going to be shocking government intervention in the lumber industry because
That'll just screw it up even more.
I mean,
Well, I think a lot of it is because can the lumber from Canada come down right now? Or
well, that's the thing. I don't know, David, because the best lumber in the world is from Canada. And I do watch a show on the Weather Channel. I think it's called Mud Track Haulers, just started about a month and a half ago, and it's out in British Columbia, and they're just like 45-degree angles, cutting all these trees down, and they always have a little thing beginning of the show. Every year, they plant 250 million new trees. Of all the ills we've done in our lifetime, we've done a great job of the forestry, because we've always been very cognizant of you take a tree down,
Right.
but build a couple more. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing the lumber industry has been hurt due to the fact that newspapers are pretty much non-existent now.
I think that's made it.
So-
That's why all the pulp business is all out of Maine.
Yeah.
because there's no, and paper, you know what? Most of your paper now comes from China.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Okay. Now the Messenger, I think, comes out of, it's New Hampshire, I think, the Manchester area.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's where.
Do you know how much paper used to go into a New York Times, a Boston Globe, LA Times, that people aren't using that paper anymore? And I remember my wife, Carrie, has a friend of hers who was in our wedding. Her husband used to work for a company that would recondition printing presses. And he was up, oh God, it's probably 15.
Who invented the printing press?
Gutenberg.
That's right, Gutenberg. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, now this was back before the internet hit. So it was probably 20, 25 years ago. He came up and he had to do, it was either the Messengers or the Free Press. And basically, do you remember the papers used to be bigger?
The Messenger?
Not only more stuff in it, the actual paper was bigger. It was like 13 inches wide or 15 inches wide by 30.
Yeah.
He was saying that, and then they changed it to like 11 inches. Yeah. Same with the Messenger. Just those 2 inches of paper saved, I can't tell you how many thousands and thousands of pounds of paper.
Yep.
And so when you think of not even making newspapers anymore, and it won't be long, I can't imagine. And magazines, who buys a magazine anymore? Except for Richard.
I subscribe to the podcast Bill O'Reilly. I like Bill O'Reilly. He was saying on yesterday's show, in the last year, and it's a very, very liberal paper, did not start out that way. It's a Gannett paper, the USA Today. It used to be a very generic, you couldn't tell.
It was like People magazine paper.
It was a decent paper. You couldn't tell what, and I check on the USA Today every day, the sports, the entertainment, the travel, but the politics in there, nasty.
Oh,
nasty.
It's awful.
And he said it's just a matter of time before USA Today goes out of business.
Well, I only subscribe to the online Free Press.
That's what I do.
And the only reason I do is for the crossword puzzle,
okay,
and the Sudoku, and the jumble.
Yep.
And if they ever get rid of that, I'm done.
And David, I will say this.
Oh, maybe the obituaries too.
Good for you. They say for old people that's absolutely great doing puzzles and Sudoku. It's brain exercise, because what happens to us seniors is, you try to stay active with your golf and stuff, but we don't quite use our brains quite as much as we once did. And I always felt that your brain was kind of like a bottle of beer, and every time you use it, there's a little bit less. So I've been saving mine. Okay.
I've been saving mine for old age.
Yeah. So, okay.
Well, let's see. How do we get?
I don't know.
What do we got left? How about the?
Actually, I want to bring this up. Some baseball. Don't follow the Yankees. We have a phone call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hello, fellas. How we doing?
Greetings.
Thought I'd call in, check in, see what's going on.
I was just making my phone call to Fenway Park to get my World Series tickets.
Yeah.
You didn't pick a good year to boycott the Red Sox.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right, you did.
You know my feelings on the coach and LeBron James just buying in. No. And, baseball the last few years have been just slowly, I guess, boring me to death. My heart is with football. I love a good football game. But, baseball, it just takes too long. It's just stretched out. Now, I read a thing today where in the Atlantic League, I think it is, they do experiments down there with baseball. They're moving the mound back another foot because the major leagues and these other leagues feel that too many people are striking out, and they feel that extra foot that a batter gets to see the ball, that it'll work to their advantage to hit it.
Caller,
But, the last I knew that, people are complaining the games are too long.
Caller, I actually made a copy of that blurb of Rob Ball.
If anything, what you would like to do is build that mound back up higher. I like strikeouts in the game.
Yeah. The still technically independent Atlanta League has a new partnership with MLB, which was established over the winter and is going to serve as a testing ground for some of baseball's bolder ideas that are aimed at improving the overall entertainment value of the sport. Jason Stark notes, the mound distance, welcome to the woke world we live in. The mound distance in pro baseball has been 60 feet, 6 inches for the last 128 years. The thought is that pushing it back another foot from home plate will increase reaction time for hitters and lead to more balls in play. Well, here's the deal. You keep it at 60 feet, 6 inches, and you teach these batters
To hit the ball on
how
the
to hit
ground.
the ball, how to make contact, I'll tell you what, and I put up with a lot of crap with sports, and I'm not as brave as this guy to boycott, but if they go to 61 feet and 6 inches, I'm done. I mean, absolutely
the thing
done.
is, what they should do then is move the bases back a foot.
Well, they could ban the shift.
No, I love defense, though. I love smart play. To me, you don't need a 5-4 baseball game, even though you get a lot
Well, if the guys could hit, if the guys didn't all try to have launch angle and bat speed, and they could hit the ball if you got 3 fielders on one side of the field, a guy like Tony Gwynn or Wade Boggs,
Yeah.
they would hit 700 in today's baseball.
Wade Boggs is in the Hall of Fame. Ate chicken before every game. Had a girl married, but had a longtime girlfriend.
Margot was her name.
Margot Adams.
Yeah.
And he brought her on the road for years. So that was his away squeeze. Wade Boggs ended up with about a 320 lifetime batting average. This guy was a magician with a bat. But I remember when he entered his career with the Yankees, people were picking on him by saying, Wade, you're such a selfish batter that you're only out there to fatten up your batting average, which I took offense to because you got to have guys on base. You got to have ducks on the pond.
How about Rod Carew? How about Tony Gwynn? Tony Gwynn hit 350 or 360.
Yeah.
Didn't he hit 380 one year?
Yep.
Tony Gwynn could put the ball in any direction.
Yep.
That's what these guys today, Giancarlo Stanton, I read today, he was 0 for 16. Judge, and then on top of that, Aaron Hicks couldn't play the other day because of the business in Minnesota. He just didn't feel right. He needed a mental health day.
Yeah, it's turned into
that's
a
just
three-ring circus.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
But the quality of the game, and the guys can't field. And then on top of that, I think one of the things they're going to do is get rid of that crazy instant replay on second base where you got to look at it with a microscope to see whether or not the guy took his foot off. That's not how it was meant to be played.
Yep.
I remember many times when I was playing softball that I slid and I thought I missed a tag. But the ball was there first. And if the ball was there first, you were out.
David,
That's all the umpires ever look for.
okay, I am old school. Thank you for that because I appreciated a good throw to second base. And if the ball beat the runner, I don't care if his foot was in first, I always called the runner out.
Yes,
because I rewarded the throw to the bag. And watching the Nat game last night, it looked like Josh Harrison had his hand in. Clearly safe, but I took an affront, like, you're wasting time on this. Call him out or safe, and that's it. It's just too much
Well,
time.
the instant replay was originally intended only to fix the most egregious errors. Well, now they use it for everything.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of it, but they won't.
And again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but the thing is, they want to shorten the games up, and every move they make, it seems to lengthen the games.
Exactly.
And, it makes a game almost boring. They take so much time, the excitement just, leaves the room. But, no, I don't know. And another thing I said for years for football is, like, as far as catching it in bounds, be like college, have 1 foot in, and it's a catch. And that would save a ton of time in football as well.
Yeah, I've always...
Did he get a second toe? And they look at it 98 different angles 27 times,
Agreed. I've always been a proponent of 1 foot in, and it just takes all the mystery out of it.
I think football, though, at least they finally have figured out what's a catch, what isn't a catch. 2 feet, 1 feet. At least they've got it down. Of course, they have instant replay for almost every play now, so it's.
Yeah.
But football's a much quicker game, though.
Yeah. Caller, were you watching the beginning of the show?
I don't think I was.
So the Duke called in from South Carolina, and want to thank Bobby for bringing his kayaks down the lake. Well, when that occurred, I believe on Sunday, and I called him. And you sent Donna a picture with, looks like the middle of July. And I haven't been down the lake since last fall. Duke goes down probably 5 nights a week just at Killcare, just to sit and reflect and all that stuff. But it's mind-boggling how low that lake is right now.
Yeah, I mean... the whole shorelines are clean up. Nothing got washed up with the high water. I mean, it's like the first week of July.
Yep.
The water is crystal clean and clear and cold, but it's kind of scary being in the middle of April.
Yeah. So
you guys were talking about the price of wood too. It is totally amazing. David, you're right. A piece of 4x8 plywood. $56. A 2x4 is $6. I bought a 4x4x8 pressure treated last weekend, $23 for that.
Isn't that crazy?
One piece of wood.
What is it normally?
Oh, half of that.
Okay.
And I remember plywood. I used to buy that 79 cents for a piece. But people are still building all over. The contractors are busy, and really money doesn't mean much. There's houses going up all over.
Yeah, but the low interest rates, I think, has everything to do with that right now.
Well, yeah, one always offsets the other.
But I can assure you, caller, that by Thanksgiving,
the interest rates are already starting to creep up.
You will see turbulent times. The Consumer Price Index came out yesterday. The old cost of groceries are starting to.
We're going to have an inflation problem.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, it's happening right now. It's not advertised, but it's happening.
Yep.
And even the vehicles, it's hard to put vehicles together with those chips, being a shortage of those chips. Now, I read a piece, I thought of you, Dave, the other day where GMC have stopped building the mid-size truck so they can concentrate on their top-notch trucks that sell.
Yeah, what's happened is about 3 million vehicles worldwide not built so far this year because of lack of computer chips.
Really?
And the computer chips come from China and mostly Taiwan. Of course, which will soon be a new state for communist China because
perhaps.
Oh, we aren't going to be able to stop the communist Chinese from taking it when the time comes. Not with Joe Biden.
Right, I was going to say probably not with the present administration.
No, but anyway, computer chips are just one thing. After that freeze in Texas a few weeks ago, there's a tremendous shortage of foam.
Foam?
Foam. because a lot of petrochemicals are made in Texas.
Okay.
And think about a car. Think about how much foam is in a car. Your seats are foam, the dashboard,
Okay.
the door trim. There's the trunk. There's a lot of foam
Okay.
in a car, and the difference today in manufacturing, and it's not just for cars. It's the same. These issues you talk to guys for appliances, for furnaces.
These chips are in computers or in those
Everything.
Game Boys that the kids play.
And the other big change that's happened, 20 or 30 years ago, most manufacturers, what they do is they would have warehouses full of parts. But they all learned many years ago that it was inefficient. So now they have what's called just-in-time manufacturing, where they only have maybe 2 days supply of parts.
David, would it be a fair statement by saying it's much more difficult today versus 25 years ago to find a good auto mechanic?
No. The guys that are out there are good.
Right. I don't mean I'm meaning the quantity.
It's hard to find good. I was talking, I did a little work in my cellar, and I've got a fella putting in the plumbing. I put a little bathroom in my cellar. He's got more work than he can shake a stick at, and he doesn't know. He'd like to hire another couple of guys. He's got so much work. But the guys he's talking to aren't the kind of guys you can really rely on. Mm-hmm. And so if a guy isn't working right now, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And
Very correct.
And
very true.
And then the other thing is all these trades, automobiles, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, these guys, people they don't make their kids go in a trade school. And let me tell you, to work on that stuff today, you can't be a dummy and do it. You need to be smart.
Yeah.
But people would say, oh, I'd rather let my kid go. So you have your kid go to college, graduates with a degree in psychology, and the best he can come up with after you just spent $200,000 is maybe he can 10 bar on some resort somewhere. Instead, if he went to a trade school, VTC, or an apprentice, hey, we've had a couple guys that we had apprentice that are now good mechanics, and we don't even call them mechanics, they're all technicians.
Yep.
Because you need to know computers, you need to know electronics, you need all that stuff. And it's not just us. You talk to carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and these guys are making good money.
Yep.
Real good money. So it's a real big issue, and I think these guys, it's all supply and demand, and as long as there aren't enough good guys to work, the guys that you got are going to make a lot of money.
Yeah. No big industry. I mean, our company, nobody likes to carry a heavy inventory anymore.
No.
Inventories that's a thing of the past. Like you said, David, it's a lot of them carry for a couple days. I know our company, we used to carry big inventories that you just don't tie all your money up in the warehouse anymore.
No, and the other thing that's changed a lot with manufacturing, when I first started selling cars 50 years ago, companies like General Motors and Ford and GE, they were what's called vertically integrated. And basically what they did is they made everything. A vehicle that General Motors made, 95% of the parts they built themselves. Well, now, in today's world, except for maybe the sheet metal and maybe the motors, they don't build anything. They all buy it from suppliers. And
you look at the inside of your door, and
the suppliers are all the same, whether it's for Toyota or for us or Ford or Mercedes or whoever the hell it is. All these suppliers. So what happens if you got a supply chain issue like with these computer chips? It's not just one car company, it's all of them.
Okay.
Oh, correct.
And the other thing they're running out of now is rubber. Natural rubber. There's going to be a tire shortage.
Why?
Because there's not enough natural rubber. And what happened is if you go back to last year, all right, the whole world is working on this just-in-time thing. Well, when you take 2 months of production out, Because basically that's what happened last year. Nobody built anything from the end of March to about the 1st of May. All through March and May and April, nothing got built. That took all the slack out of the whole world's production. Well, all of a sudden, stuff started to come back. We've been sending people money like it's monopoly money.
Yeah.
So people are buying stuff, and there's nothing to buy. You can't buy TVs. You can't buy anything. Look at our yard. We used to have 150 new vehicles. We've got maybe 50.
Yeah, what's
Because
happening
you
is
can't get 'em in?
it's
Can't get 'em
created
in.
a new used car market.
Well, they come in and going out. What people don't realize is most of the stuff we're selling now is pre-sold. So we're still selling as much as we ever did, actually more. But a lot of it is coming in and going out.
So you're telling me you place an order with Detroit and they can't fulfill your order?
Oh, absolutely not.
How long has this been going on?
It's been since last year.
Okay.
You can't. I'll give you an example. In our little area, our what they call our ADM or Buick and GMC Ad Group, which is mostly the Vermont guys and a few guys from New York. They had maybe last month for GMC. Maybe they gave us on Thursday. All the dealers maybe got 150 vehicles. They asked for like 1,300. That's the way it is.
Okay.
And now it's kind of good if you're in the retail business, because instead of having to give your stuff away because you got too much of it, the margins are better.
Yeah.
And eventually the factories always do overproduce. Never fails. May not be this year, but sooner or later, because they get their money when they sell it to the store. They don't get their money when they sell it to the retail customer.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So
Now, David, I have a question. As far as like leasing a car, if somebody goes to your dealership and lease a car, now is that car? Do you sell that to a leasing company?
Yes.
Or does that basically go right through you guys?
Yeah, no, we sell it. It's sold to like GM Financial, or if Toyota, if somebody leases a Toyota, it's Toyota Motor Credit, or if it's a Ford, it's Ford Motor Credit, or Chrysler Motor, and they own the car, and then 3 years to bring it back, and then they got to get rid of it.
Now, do you guys buy them back?
Yeah, often we do.
Yeah.
And
you know, the used market, there's a lot of good cars out there today because of these leases. People lease a car, they take a lot better care of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, those are brought back to the lot, and, you know, they're great cars out there, you know.
Well, there's been a huge shortage of used cars, too. And the reason for that is because nobody's been driving rental cars.
Oh.
All right. Now, you think about all the rental cars that Hertz and Avis and Budget and Alamo and all those guys have. Well, when people weren't driving them, they weren't buying any.
Right.
I never thought of that. Your people aren't vacationing, etc.
They didn't need the cars, so
Yep.
the cars weren't getting used up.
Okay.
Because the rental companies like to dump them, you know, every 15, 20, 30,000 miles. So those were you had literally maybe hundreds and hundreds of thousands of used vehicles that were going on the market that aren't there anymore. So not only is there a shortage of new cars, the price of used cars is very high. Okay. But like I said, if they do the wrong things and the economy starts to sputter, it doesn't take too long. We always say in our business, the difference between too many and not enough is one.
Okay.
Doesn't take long.
Well, I know very little about life, but I will guarantee you by Thanksgiving, there'll be such an economic decline in this country. And you're starting to see buyer's remorse from last November.
Well, I think the thing is, because things are surging right now, because a lot of states are really starting to open up, and you had that pent-up demand. It's going to be okay for a while, but when all these crazy tax laws come in, when New York State wants to tax every time somebody sells a stock, what do you think that's going to do to the business on Wall Street? Those guys will just move to Florida.
Yep.
And And it's going to show up, maybe not this year, but probably the next couple of years. But anyway, it's good now.
And
So, any changes in the football draft, Nighthawk?
all I can say is I think the Patriots will be players. I really, truly do. Belichick's had a recent history of doing a horrendously poor job of drafting. I think they have a pretty good football team, albeit they don't have a quarterback, which means no success. I think they will move up. I think they'll get themselves a young stud. What they should have done is let Cam Newton go and brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's still playing very good football, and draft a good young first-round top 10 quarterback to indoctrinate him for the following season. I guess if I was a Patriot fan right now, I'm very skeptical of the upcoming season. And again, they've taken care of a lot of issues with the free agency period. But it'll be fun. Like I said, draft night is probably my favorite night of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Nighthawk, what about this guy, this linebacker from Penn State that supposedly got a lot of red flags, but he could be another LT?
I saw something and I was pretty rushed today. This Mikaya Parsons from Penn State, and I don't think I made a copy of it. The headline was, he's another Odell Beckham. And they said off the record that Giant officials are hoping that he still will not be there at the 11th position because talent-wise, he's probably the best defensive player out there. But he's had a checkered past with the law. During high school, he created a riot by screaming gun in a high school cafeteria. Something happened at Penn State, and I can't remember, but they had to settle a civil lawsuit pertaining to him.
Now, isn't there some big shot tight end, too, the Giants would love to get?
Everybody. Kyle Pitts out of Florida. And when the mock draft started, everybody, before the Patriots picked up 2 tight ends in the free agency, had Pitts at number 15 going to the Patriots. Right now, he's mocked a tight end going to number 4 to the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow, he's that good.
And who drafts tight ends that
but
high?
This guy is supposed to be once in a decade.
Absolutely.
I saw some film on him. He's an animal. This guy is good.
I think he's 6 feet 6 inches. So, no,
yeah, I saw one mock draft where Miami came back up for him and Miami grabbed him.
Right now, Miami's in the 6th position, and it's kind of expected. And again, draft night, there'll be some trades that they'll pick Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, unless the 5th position by the Bengals, quarterback Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase was Joe Burrow's favorite receiver in college. And from what I've read, Joe Burrow's been politicking to get Chase on the team. But they need to protect their investment in Burrow, and that's why there's a lot of prediction that they'll take the number 1 offensive tackle, Penei Sewell, out of Oregon.
Yeah, I guess Burrows was sacked 30-something times last year.
Right, and he got knocked out for the rest of the season at the midpoint. So, to me, the smart pick is always go for the offensive tackle. The Giants right now, most mocks at number 11, they have them taking Jalen Waddle, great receiver out of Alabama. However, you know my love for offensive linemen. If Rashawn Slater from Northwestern is available, I want him to solidify that offensive line. A, you got to protect your investment in Daniel Jones. And B, remember you took Saquon Barkley, stupidly, has the number 2 overall pick 4 years ago. We've got to shore up that offensive line. They were ranked 31st in the NFL last year. Only one team worse than them, And that shocked me that there could have been a team worse than the Giants' offensive line last year. And I don't care how much talent you have on the team. If your line sucks, you're going to fail. And with a great line, and the Dallas Cowboys were known for the last quarter century of having the best offensive line out there. You can just take an average back and you give them a whole size of a truck. You could run through that. So what we're talking, 2 weeks from tomorrow night for the draft?
Yeah, I think those are more exciting now, these drafts, than they've ever been.
Absolutely. Because
there's more of trading in football than there's ever been, and more juggling around.
Caller, got to go. I've got 5 seconds.
Okay, then.
Thank you,
We'll
bye.
see you guys
Thanks,
later.
Bob.
Great
Jeez,
show.
we ran out of time. Sorry, Richie Cunningham, our engineer, Super Dave on the Nighthawk. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.